Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
And I just want to do a quick check if I can over here just to make sure the settings look good. Yeah, they do. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for being with us as always. Thank you for your support over on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys on Patreon. Again, each level has different benefits to it, including actually having a monthly appointment with us at the $50 and $100 level. Again, while we're in the monetary system, unfortunately, we all have bills to pay and food to buy and things like that.
Indeed,
but hopefully it'll change. So when we look to the goddess Athena and we look to these ancient Greek coins, what do we see on the coins? We see her head, and then we see an owl on the other side. Here I can make out the moon as well. Isn't that interesting? Athena associated with the owl. Who is pulling Lakshmi along? It's actually not horses, it's owls. That's curious, is it not? Again, Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance, and not necessarily just abundance of physical things or wealth. And here we see Lakshmi just flying along on the back of an owl. So it was interesting because we do have an owl that lives right by us, and we hear him every day, all the time out there, making his presence known. And in meditation with the guides, what came through was all about the wisdom of the owl, and again, the owl as a totem or a spirit animal. When we look to all the indigenous traditions, the shamanic traditions, all around the world, you'll see that they all valued the totem animal, the spirit guide that was some part of nature that at a certain time in our life would become a predominant force for us to get to learn about and to understand, what is the value of being a particular type of presence in the manifested 3D world. And, there's many deities that are associated with the owl. Also, Lilith, Morrigan, and Perun from Slavic mythology, as well as you see Chinese, Welsh, Mayan, again, African. It's something that's in all the traditions. And as we go into the Bronze Age, we're going back to the future, so to speak, on our path back to understanding all of the natural world and what it offers us.
Oh, it offers us so much more than meets the eye. I think we've really gotten lost in this world without nature. We've gotten used to functioning with our tablets and our phones rather than looking to see what nature is bringing us and what nature has to say to us. And then sometimes I think the hardest part is when nature comes around to give you a message, people, maybe it's not convenient, so it's easy for them to just dismiss it. And through those being so dismissive, you kind of go off your path a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. But then again, that's certain people's life choice. Sometimes people choose to go way off their path so that they can learn something and they can gain wisdom from a lesson in life and apply that later.
Yes, absolutely. And when we talk about getting off our path, I think, it's recognizing that we have a purpose before we embody. We have general ideas of what we want to learn and grow with and achieve. And as we're embodied, very often, perhaps the norm, is for us to start to lose track of that. And that's what this whole world does, is it really does disconnect us from the higher self. And by the time, we're at a certain point in age, and it doesn't take long, the system has imprinted on us what it wants, and we start to really lose track of who we are and what we really want.
That's true. We really tend to get off of our tracks in this world that we live in today. And I think that's just because of so much of the unnatural things coming into our realm that throw us off. And even if you might like it, it still can throw you off of your true path. Sometimes people find something in the modern world and it might be great fun, and it's okay to go and explore and do things that are fun, but all in moderation.
Yes, absolutely. So when we see the owl appearing in our life, and maybe you're one of those that tends to notice nature, and when something all of a sudden makes its presence known, like a fox crossing your path, maybe it's a raccoon or a deer, or it could be anything, a particular bird that seems to constantly land by you or make its presence. Then you should take note, because again, this is one of the ways in which deities, what we call deities, which often, what are they? Well, they're archetypal figures in so many ways. On some levels, they are connected to us on the highest densities. And this is a way that they could communicate to us. And this is a way that doesn't break or interfere with karma. But it's up for us to be able to pick that up.
Very important for us to acknowledge it. Maybe sometimes people are not quite ready, so you got to take that into consideration.
Yes, absolutely. If an animal is acting weird and really looking at you in a particular way, that animal may actually have the spirit of a different entity in it trying to get your attention. We've noticed this innumerable times. And we've also had the devas, or the ones we call the devas, Lakshmi, for instance, Ganesh, Vishnu, and others, make their presence known through the use of the natural world and animals, and not even just animals. Also, they could make their presence known through the insect world as well, through various means. Even the trees can speak to us if we're listening. So I wanted to share this with you. Now, key takeaways when an owl appears. Obviously, the very first thing I think of is wisdom. Somebody else might note that the eyes on the owl are particularly large, and so insight, yes, absolutely. Courage, agility, intuition, developing your insight and intuition, and using your intuition hand in hand with wisdom. That is very, very important to develop. Observant listening. They listen very carefully. They watch very carefully. They tend to be very, very still, and they just take note of the situation. So in these times, we could see that would be very, very needed. Independent thinking, yes, not going along with, the herd, so to speak, making your own decisions. Far too many people being manipulated in far too many ways and far too easily because they lack independent thinking. They haven't cultivated it. In fact, society is all about conformity and using different techniques to get people to conform and give away their ability to think independently. Just blindly taking on any particular belief set and then locking yourself into that set so you can't see beyond that, structure. Again, thinking out of the box is to be cultivated. And supernatural powers and abilities. Oh yeah, it's all that, and it is so much more. Keeper of wisdom. I've heard people say that an owl is the keeper of wisdom. Now, the other thing about seeing is they see in the darkness. Again, nocturnal by nature. Clairaudience. Oh, developing your ability to listen to your guides, perceive what they're trying to get across to you, and learning the power to receive. Again, when we're talking about receiving, it's not always physical things. It's not always gifts. No, it could be receiving knowledge, receiving ideas, receiving, basically warnings sometimes too.
Mm-hmm. Changing perspective, that speaks to growth and understanding when you have those changes in perspective. Trust your intuition. Many people go through life and say they made some pretty big mistakes and they have a really hard time trusting themselves. But, life has a way of allowing you to do a do-over. And the trick to that is to learn from the mistakes that you made and actually apply. Apply. If you wanted to do different, then do different. Don't continue on doing the same thing. Unveiling truths. And then the air element, well, that's very, very, very psychic.
Absolutely. As you see here, wisdom and intelligence. At the heart of the spirit animal owl's significance lies its profound symbolism. Delve into the key attributes again: wisdom, intelligence, intuition, insight, seeing beyond illusions. There's a lot of illusions always being put in front of us. So, having that knowing, listening again to the inner voice, having your regular spiritual practice so you can connect and, understand that bigger picture that you won't understand if you're simply going out of text, newspapers, etc., etc. Connection to mystery and the unknown. Yeah, definitely creatures of the night. They're always linked to the mysterious and the unknown. Protection and guidance. Yeah, they're also protective spirits. They are also watching out for us. So again, it's up to us to listen to them. So, they are, again, wise, all-seeing, and, they are uncovering the truth and looking deeper beyond the surface.
Yeah, no, they can kind of sort of see all the way around them, too. So I think it does note that it gives someone a different kind of vision, a special kind of vision to see behind them, and then definitely see in the darkness, because this world is full of darkness. I mean, you're really walking through a cloud when you're on this 3D level. So this gives you the ability to see through that cloud, even if you can't see with your two eyes. Your intuition, your understanding, and your wisdom takes flight, and you can see Lakshmi. She is led by wisdom, and she goes places through wisdom. So she is very much tied to the owl and tied to wisdom. So I think that is very, very special.
So another one, it calling for us to be adaptable and allow change or shifting to take place instead of fighting it. Yeah, absolutely. We're going through a major time of change and shift. We understand this. We understand that, the system is putting a lot of obstacles and roadblocks out and intends on trapping as many people as possible. It's up to us to recognize what's happening and navigate through that. So, again, when you get these feelings, when things that you might call a coincidence takes place, meditate on it and look for the synchronicity. Again, there's so much going on in the higher dimensions that's reflected down below.
Mm-hmm. And the owl, if an owl shows up, some of the meanings, some things that you might want to do is meditate in silence and in darkness for a few minutes each evening for the next few days and see what is revealed to you. Now, this takes patience and focus and not forgetting, because a lot of times people might see an owl and they forget to do the things to get the message from the owl. Be alert to any deception on the part of others, whether they're aware of it or not. That's very important, because sometimes other people are walking through darkness and they don't have the sight. And look closely behind any guises that they might wear. So quietly observe your environment, watching and listening for signs and omens that will give you answers to any questions you might have. So pause for a minute. If you have an owl in your presence, write down that question. Write down that question and just take a minute for yourself. Slow down a little bit. This life has really gotten us on such a fast ride that, we don't stop to observe. So that's really important. That's probably you should be at the top. Stop and just observe. And, if you have a question, ask it, write it down. So there's a lot to be done, but it does take for us to slow down and really appreciate what nature has to offer and what nature is trying to tell us. And those things, even though our lives are very, very busy and we need to do all the things. We need to get the groceries. We need to make dinner. We need to clean the house. We have to do our chores. We have to pay the bills. There is a lot of that matrix to keep up on, but I think it's really important to keep in mind that nature should take the priority.
Now is a significant time for prophecy, and you will see, hear, or feel events before they actually happen. Yeah, you have to, again, develop that ability and the ability to listen clearly when the mind is quiet. Your most creative cycle now is night, so set aside some time in the evening to work on any projects. Or perhaps it's early morning before the world has awakened. I find it, again, in most of my life, I was absolutely a quote-unquote night owl. And now I feel like way more productive at 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. And I feel like the productivity goes off as the day goes on. So very, very different cycle for myself personally. So listen to those cycles because there's real meaning behind it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely listen to yourself closely and listen to what is going on around you. Pay close attention to nature. She's always speaking to you. Always, always, always. And if an animal comes and crosses your path, that happened for a reason. There's something in your world, something in your realm that you need to take note of.
Absolutely. As always, guys, we give you thanks for your support. You could go and check out evolutionaryenergyarts.com to learn more about us. And if you need to reach us to schedule an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@hushmail.com. Or if you're a Patreon, just message us directly. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.